Now, when you entered my bedroom, let's just say you're opening the door. Just imagine a typical square bedroom. At the very back, I had my bed. I still remember it. It was a metal frame, painted like cherry red. I had a guardrail, which my parents later removed when I got older. And I had a small window because it was kind of a sub basement level. So the window was raised high up the wall, off the wall, and it was small. It didn't allow a lot of natural light coming in because it was facing the backyard. From the backyard, it was just a big field. I recall one night, I woke up. I don't know what time it was. Well, obviously I didn't because I probably
Yes.
couldn't tell time at that age.
Yes.
Um, but I know it was late because it was dark outside and it was the summertime, so sun setting much later. But I know it wasn't so late that well, my parents weren't sleeping because I could hear them upstairs. They were watching a movie. So I had some trouble getting to sleep. I was just on my back in my bed. The lights were off. But I was in my room long enough that my eyes have had adapted to the environment around me. And I remember just, you can't sleep. You look around your room, but I can't get out of bed and do things because my parents will get upset with me.
Yeah.
So I just continued looking around my room, just
Mhm.
gazing around the room, and I remember flipping over to my left side. So now I'm facing the door to my bedroom, and I noticed an unusually dark, if you want to call it like a dark mass. It was very, very dark. It was almost like there was all the other shadows in my room. You could see like just typical shadows against the wall, right, from different figures in the room. But I found it really strange at that time to see an area of my room that was just so dark, so pitch like void dark, black hole, black dark. But I didn't think too much of it. At the time, your parents try to reassure you shadows are just cast upon,
Yes.
items in your room, and you think it's this, you think it's that. I never ran to my parents crying because I thought there were, monsters under my bed or anything like that. I was pretty calm most of the time. But this one time that I'm staring at this mass, I'm thinking that is, that's weird. But
Mhm.
at my age, I didn't think too much of it, so I just continued gazing around the room, looking up, the ceiling, whatever. And then I gazed back at the dark mass. And then this time, when I looked at the mass, it was no longer a black mass, but it was a shadow of a person. Like, imagine like a silhouette of a person that you would see against the wall,
Yeah.
but this silhouette was off the wall. It was in the room. It
Yes.
wasn't against any surface. And then that shadow of the humanoid was darker than dark, like very opaque black.
Mhm.
I just remember staring at it and thinking, that looks like a person, but it wasn't moving. It was just standing there. And it didn't have any defining features that I remember. I don't remember seeing a face. I don't remember seeing clothing. I just remember like a dark black silhouette of what seemed like a man, but who really knows, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, as I continued to stare at it, the silhouette would, in a fraction of a second, disappear and then reappear closer to me. And it would like maybe each disappearing act that it did, it would move maybe one or two steps closer, give or take,
Without you blinking, sorry. Without you blinking, just
without me blinking.
yeah,
just staring
with
at
your
this
eyes,
thing.
yeah, staring at it. Okay.
And it would disappear and then reappear closer. But the limbs were not fluid like human limbs or anything that we recognize and know on this earth. It would disappear, and then in a few milliseconds it would reappear, and its shape may have slightly moved. Maybe the arm is in one position, but still,
Yeah.
it was not fluid, and then it could keep disappearing and reappearing almost like as fast as a shutter can
Yes.
close on a camera.
Mhm.
And I remember keep staring at this and thinking like, am I going crazy or whatever I thought the equivalent at the time
Mhm.
at that young
Yes.
age. But
Yeah.
I started to say, am I seeing things here? And it got closer and closer and closer until it was like essentially standing by my bedside, like looking right over me. And at that point, I was absolutely paralyzed with fear. I threw the covers over my head. I, threw my face under the pillow.
Mhm.
I remember tucking the sheets and ensuring there wasn't even the smallest crack of light that could come in. Well, there's no light, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. I was just
Yes. Yes.
putting myself tight under the covers. And I remember even closing my eyes, but that didn't do anything. I remember it was almost like it was invading my mind. It
Yes.
was like a pushing like these grotesque images in my mind. I remember like 2 or 3 heads popping up. I don't remember the exact look of it, but it was so vivid
Yeah.
that it felt like I was seeing something that was actually in front of me, despite the fact that my eyes were closed and I was under the covers. And it was just, I felt like I was a deer surrounded by wolves. I felt like there was no escape.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like this entity was taking pleasure in knowing that I was scared. And it felt, you know, I don't want to say evil, but it didn't feel like it definitely didn't feel comforting. It was almost like they had fun doing this. At that point, I was crying, I was terrified, and I don't know how, but I somehow mustered the courage to get out of my bed because I just couldn't get these images out of my mind.
Yes.
And just like, I think I closed my eyes to a squint or just almost closed them, and I dashed towards the door, and I was running up the stairs toward the family room and just screaming for my mom and dad, and just screaming and saying, "There's a man in my room! There's a man in my room!"